today's video, we are going to create an amazing poster design in Photoshop. Grab your mouse as we dive in. First things first, we are going to create a new document. Choose a solid color. With a solid color in place, we are going to create a new layer. Grab a soften brush. We right click and we are going to set hardness to 0. Foreground is set to white, opacity is set to 100. And we are going to click once. Once that is in place, we are going to press Ctrl T to transform. With the layer in place, we are going to set the blend mode to overlay and reduce the opacity. We are going to create another solid color. We are going to hide this one for now. Now let's grab our assets for this tutorial. Holding down the shift key, we are going to copy all these layers we have selected. Alternatively, you can just drag into your work area. Now we are just going to position and adjust this properly. So we are going to copy all these layers selected. Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. The text goes right here, Ctrl A, and we are just going to center that. Ctrl D to deselect. We are going to position this right here. With the main text layer selected, we are just going to position it right here. Adjust it properly with the move tool. With these two layers selected, with the arrow key, we are just going to move these two layers to the top just a bit. We position this right here. With the second solid color selected, with the mask selected, we are going to grab the gradient tool. So we are just going to drag this way to erase. With the soften brush, right click and we are going to change the roundness. Reduce the opacity. Change the roundness and the angle. Foreground is set to black. We zoom in and we are just going to paint. So we are basically erasing this portion, so we create a light casting effect down there. So we just paint this way. With these three layers selected, we are just going to group all of them together. Ctrl G to make a group. Position this layer right here. We adjust it properly. With this layer selected, Ctrl C to copy, Ctrl V to paste. Convert that to a smart object, Ctrl T. We are going to transform this a bit. So we zoom out, Ctrl T. Holding down the Shift key, and we are just going to make this smaller, right click, and we are going to select perspective. Right click and we are going to select distort. So we are going to distort this a bit, just this way. Once that is in place, we are going to set the blend mode to screen. Create a levels adjustment layer. Clip onto the layer so the effect applies solely to the layer. With the layer selected, we are just going to position this right here. Adjust it a bit. Create a mask with the mask selected. Ctrl I to invert. With a soften brush, foreground is set to white and we are just going to paint some back. So with both layers selected, we are just going to drop them right here. With the mask selected, we are just going to paint some back. So we are going to be painting some shadows. We are going to create an exposure adjustment layer. Clipped onto this layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. With a soften brush, we are just going to be painting some shadows. We are going to create a new layer. Opacity is set to 100. We are going to change the roundness of the brush. Foreground is set to black and we are going to be painting some contact shadows. Undo. We make the brush bigger. Change the roundness. Reduce the opacity. So we are going to create a new layer. Then we are going to paint more shadows. Ctrl T to transform. Reduce the opacity. With this layer selected, we are just going to move it right here. Position and adjust it properly. Once that is in place, we are going to create a mask with the mask selected. We are going to grab the gradient tool. And we are just going to drag this way to erase. With a soften brush, foreground is set to black. We are going to reduce the opacity. Then we are just going to mask out this portion. So we do same for this layer. Ctrl T to transform. We are just going to distort this layer a bit. Then we are going to mask it as well. So we set blend mode to overlay, create a mask, grab the gradient tool. Then we are just going to mask this as well. With both layers selected, Ctrl T, and we are just going to transform it. So we make it bigger, we extend it a bit. With this layer selected, we are going to create a mask. With the mask selected, we zoom in and we are going to grab the polygonal lasso tool. So we are just going to subtract this portion. So we are going to create a selection right here. Once we have a selection, we right click and we are going to fill that with the foreground color, which is black. Then we hit OK. Ctrl D to deselect. With the layer selected, we are going to create an exposure adjustment layer clipped onto the layer. So basically we are going to paint some shadows. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. With a soften brush, right click and change roughness. Reduce the opacity. Set foreground to white. Then we are going to paint some shadows. We are going to paint more shadows. So we are going to create another exposure adjustment layer clipped onto the layer. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. With a soften brush, then we are going to paint some shadows. So we do same for highlights. Invert the mask by pressing Ctrl I. With this layer selected, we are going to create a solid color. We are going to set the blend mode to linear dodge add. With the mask selected, Ctrl I to invert. With a soften brush, foreground is set to white. Reduce the opacity and we are just going to paint some back. So we need some contrast shadows for these rocks. We create a new layer and we are just going to paint some contrast shadows. Reduce the opacity. Once you have everything in place, then we are just going to finish it up by creating a curves adjustment layer. Ctrl Alt Shift E to merge all layers. Right click and convert that into a smart object. Then we are going to apply camera raw. So with the layer selected, filter, camera raw filter. All we are going to do is we are going to play with the settings until we like the outcome. Once that is looking good, then we hit OK. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I do hope to see you in the next one. Till next time, stay creative.